So there's this thing in psychology called an ambiguous figure, which is an illusion that affects our perception of an object depending on our schema. Take for instance the good old Leaper's Lady illusion. You may see the old lady or the young woman, possibly depending on your schema, which is a framework of knowledge about something that has resulted from personal experiences. Essentially, things that you find easier to relate to about a vague object or image will possibly affect the way you perceive it. In order to test this, in 1932, Carmichael and some other blokes conducted a research method to find out whether words shown with pictures would affect the way the pictures were remembered. In order to find this, 95 participants were involved and split into 3 groups and shown 12 pictures. Between each picture, the experimenter would say,
"The next figure resembles,"
followed by a word from a list.
"Batman."
That wasn't part of the real experiment, so here's the actual list. There was a different word list for each group, with one control group of 9 participants hearing no verbal labels, making the experimental design independent groups. Afterwards, the participants were asked to draw the pictures they had seen, which were then compared to the originals. Carmichael and his buds found that there was a significant difference between the drawings produced in Group 1 and Group 2, and most of the time the drawings resembled the words the participants had heard. In fact, Carmichael analysed the results further and discovered that 73% of the people in the list 1 group produced drawings similar to the words given, and 74% did the same in list Group 2. Carmichael conducted that memory for pictures is reconstructed and the verbal context in which drawings are learned affects recall because the memory of the word alters the way the picture is represented. In other words, words do change the way we remember things most of the time. So now for some strengths and weaknesses. A good thing about Carmichael's experiment is that with the help of the control group, he could be sure that people's drawings weren't always distorted in the same way. Using 2 different lists also helped back up his evidence, as well as using 12 pictures, and now we have evidence to support from a guy called Lupyan in 2008, who further investigated verbal labels' impact on memory. However, in real life, things are generally not as ambiguous as the stimulus figures were. Also, a guy called Prentice in 1954 did some testing on the effects of verbal labels on recognition rather than memory, and he concluded that verbal labels had nothing to do with it. But other than that, his findings were pretty conclusive. Thanks for watching this video on Carmichael et al. For GCSE Psychology.